tab for reading. Greetings. I'm AIM, as always, former Demon Duke, works a 9 to 5. Kind of gets tired of that, and so I take the edge off by doing a little VTubing. This month, because it is Halloween month, it's only Halloween month to those of us who really like to celebrate events. But yeah, it is the month of Halloween, and so I have been reading various Give Yourself Goosebumps titles. We've done, the first week we did, The Knight in Screaming Armor, so far my favorite. The second week we did Secret Agent Grandma, a little bit more of a, I'm not sure how I describe it. It didn't quite have the fantasy appeal that The Knight in Screaming Armor did. So now we're going to go with something a little bit more straight up Halloween-y. That being The Curse of the Creeping Coffin, that is. Of course, there's a lot of fairly Halloween-y Goosebumps books, but this is one such. This will probably be the last one of these that I do, at least Halloween-themed, but I really like reading these choose-your-own adventures on stream. I might look and see if I can find anything else that fits. I've even been thinking that it would be fun to write some of my own and try reading those on stream, but I think that's going to have to wait for a month where I'm a little less busy. This month has been very, very busy in terms of drawing. I've been doing Umitober, which means I draw an Uminiko picture every day, and that ends up being pretty time-consuming. Anyways, why don't we go ahead and start into the book. I'll get it open. If you don't know how these work, typically what I'll do is I'll be reading the book, and eventually we'll come to a choice, or a split in the book, where it tells you to turn to a certain page depending on your choice. I will poll the chat, and the chat will have the option to choose where we're going to go. And I'll take down a little notepad for which choices we've already picked, so that we can quickly go back to try other branches if we hit a dead end. It's usually a pretty good time. Thanks for being with me. Now let's go ahead and start reading this one. I don't usually read the foreword because it's just kind of spoilery, so no real reason to do that. Let's start with the first page that actually has some content on it. Alrighty, give me one moment here. Just gonna have a quick drink of water. Okay. With The Knight in Screaming Armor, I felt like I went for almost 3 hours without getting tired. With Secret Agent Grandma, after about 2 hours, my voice was getting pretty hoarse. It might be because I was doing a special grandma voice. But, yeah. Oh man, we have a grandmother in this story too. Sheesh. Oh, let's go ahead and get the turn. I'm bored, you moan. I'm so bored, I could eat flies just to see how they taste. Flies have germs, your grandmother replies. It is a hot, sticky day in the middle of July. You plop down into a creaky old chair in your grandmother's kitchen. Your parents dropped you off yesterday, before they left for their vacation. And already you could die of boredom. Your grandmother's old dog, Sparkle, yawns loudly. He crawls under the table. Moments later, he begins to snore. I know how you feel, Sparkle, you say. You sigh loudly. Why don't you go outside and find something to do? Your grandmother suggests. She looks up from the pie she's baking and nods towards the backyard. It's weird, I'm already kind of getting Courage the Cowardly Dog vibes from this. I guess we'll see how it goes. I do love Courage. Go out there, you think? Into her backyard? No way. You glance out the window. It's probably 90 degrees in the shade, but you shiver. Your grandmother's house is right in front of an old cemetery. Rows and rows of old, crumbling tombstones sit just beyond the edge of her backyard. But that's not what scares you. What scares you is that the tombstones have been moving. You noticed it right after you arrived yesterday. You saw the tombstones from your bedroom window on the second door. You could tell some of the graves had cool carvings on them, so you decided to go outside and take a closer look. But when you entered the graveyard, something was different. Strange. Yeah, we're on literally the start of page 2 right now. Some of the graves were out of place. Nah, it can't be, you told yourself. Graves don't disappear. But still, from your bedroom window, you could have sworn there were 6 or 7 graves in the back row. Now there were only 3. Nah, you must have counted wrong. You decided to forget about it and go to bed. But when you woke up this morning and glanced out the window, the coffins had moved again. Now there were 10 in the back row. And the middle rows seemed more crowded. This is a pretty strange way to find out you're in a Matrix, but I guess we all have our own encounters. This is a Halloween-themed way to find out that you're in the Matrix. It almost looked as if some of the graves were moving forward and some of the graves were moving backward, and there was a big traffic jam in the center. The coffins were rearranging themselves. But how and why? Your grandmother taps you on the shoulder. She snaps you out of your daydream. Go on, she says. Go play outside. Outside? Out there? You shudder as you glance out the kitchen window again. Oh no, you cry. It's disappeared. What disappeared? Your grandmother asks. The grave with the angel on it, you screech, pointing out the window. It's gone. One headstone in particular caught your eye yesterday. It had an angel carving on it. The angel looked so realistic you practically believed she could fly away. Did she? Granny telling us to touch grass. Go touch grass in the old creepy graveyard. Your grandmother peers out the kitchen window. Don't be a goose, she scolds you. That tombstone is still there. You don't answer her. You can't. Your heart is pounding crazily and your mouth has gone dry. You bolt out the back door. You've got to see for yourself. But in the graveyard, you discover that your grandmother is right. The tombstone with the angel isn't gone. It just moved. It had been in the last row. Now it's up front. I'm losing my mind, you think. Losing it completely. Or are you? Yeah, already having cardiac arrest, unfortunately. Pretty short book. You run back into the house, shouting. Grandma, you yell. That grave with the angel on it. Your grandmother interrupts you. You don't have to shout, dear. The angel? She looks up from her pie crust. That's a nice one. Let me see. Who was buried there? Oh, yes, that's Elmira Martin's grave. Before you can explain about the moving gravestones, a voice on the far side of the room makes you jump. The name is Elvira Martin, the voice says sharply. Not Elmira. You never could get my name right. Your mouth drops open. A strange woman now stands in the doorway that leads from the kitchen to the hall. A very strange woman, because she isn't a living, breathing woman. She's a ghost. Grandma, you begin? But from the way your grandma is humming to herself, you can tell she doesn't hear or see this scary visitor. And don't you stare at me, you little wretch, the ghost says, pointing at you, or you'll be sorry. What are you gonna do? Suddenly you're living in a haunted house. And here we have our first page split. Give me one moment. Our questions are... Do we talk to the ghost? We can choose to either talk to the ghost or we can choose to run outside. It's your choice. Starting the poll, and it will be up for 1 minute. Let's see, we're on page 4 right now. So I'll just make a quick note here. Boy, this story really just hit the gas compared to the other ones. Like, with the screaming armor, it's like, well, is there a screaming armor? I mean, is there, like, an evil knight? I guess we better go to sleep and think about it tomorrow. And then with Secret Agent Grandma, it's like, oh, my grandma, what a pain. Oh, did it not come up? I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, it should be up. It should. I'm seeing that there's a poll up right now. It's closed over. But if you do want to vote and can't see the poll, then feel free to just tell me. It's not going to be very many votes. So I can tally them up myself. Yeah, the poll ended with no votes, so just let me know where you'd like to go. I'll head that way. We can either talk to the ghost, or run outside. Your choice. If anyone's lurking and would like to make their own choice, feel free as well. Not sure what happened with that poll. I saw it came up and ended, but strange. Okay, we're gonna run outside. Don't talk to the ghost. Just try to get out of there. Ignoring that what's outside is a very spooky graveyard. Alright, let's try it out. I'm gonna go outside, you stutter. Oh, that's nice, your grandmother says, returning to her baking. And when you come back in, I hope you'll stop being so silly. She still doesn't notice the ghost in the doorway. You back up toward the door to the porch. You keep your eye on the ghost the whole time, and she keeps her glowing eyes on you. As soon as your hand reaches the doorknob behind you, you turn, fling open the door, and bolt. But just as you start down the back porch steps, two hands grab your ankle. Ah! You cry as you trip. You sprawl head first down the stairs. Ouch! You land face down at the bottom of the steps. Good thing it wasn't a long flight of stairs, huh? You're only bruised and scratched. You scraped your chin, but nothing's broken. Ha ha ha! You hear a boy's voice say. You turn towards the voice. You want to see the jerk who made you trip. Hey, wait a minute. There is no jerk behind you. You blink just to be sure. Yup, you're sure. There's absolutely no one standing at the top of the stairs or anywhere else. Ha ha! The boy's voice taunts again. Gotcha! A girl's voice joins in. Right in front of your amazed eyes, a boy and a girl slowly begin to materialize. Man, they can't make one of these stories without you having another, one male and one female child. That's been the way in every one of these stories. When they finally take shape, you can see that they're teenagers, but teenagers from a long time ago. The boy is dressed in a funny-looking black suit with a frilly white shirt and shiny black shoes. The girl's wearing a long, old-fashioned white linen dress. Oh, hey, how's it going, kid? Yeah, we're encountering some ghost jerks, as Heat was saying right now. To set the stage for you real quick, the Creeping Coffin is our story today, and the story so far is that graves are moving into the house, and along with them, ghosts. Okay, let's see. The boy and girl look almost solid, but not quite. Yeah, can you believe it? More than 20 different endings. Wow! And I'm sure all of them are absolute gold. As you can see right through them. Boo! They shout at the same time. Then they double over with hysterical laughter. Your heart is still pounding wildly. Is this really happening? Or are you dreaming? There's one way to find out, and that is in this poll. Give me one. The question now is, does it hurt to pinch yourself? Your answers are a yes or no. We're going to start the poll. And you get to decide how much damage you take by pinching yourself. I'm just going to write down the page number real quick. There we go. Bruce Willis in. You're gonna have to explain that one too. Man, I tell you, this story is just going at it on all gears. It's it usually there's a kind of a warm-up period before crazy stuff starts happening, but in this one, by page 2, you're already seeing like moving tombstones. Thank you, kid. So the poll still isn't coming up. That's strange. Let's see. I do have a vote on there, which I'm guessing is Kit's. So I have one vote for yes and one vote for no. As for you, Heat, if you want to vote in the polls, you may want to try refreshing your your Twitch or something. But yeah, let me try rolling real quick. And I'm glad you're into it. Alright, give me 1 second. I'm going to flip a coin. Let's see. We're going to say that no, it doesn't hurt. Okay. And then we'll probably, I'm sure we'll be back here soon if you want to see what the other answer did. That's just the way these go. Okay, so let's say it didn't hurt. You didn't feel that. Uh-oh, pinch again. Nothing? You've obviously fallen asleep while reading this book. You've gone bye-bye to dreamland. You're probably snoring too. The thing is, in your dreams, you'll probably be able to handle these ghosts. But in real life, well, that's a different story. So go ahead, snooze on it, enjoy it. We'll see how well you survive. When you wake up... Okay, so it basically just takes us to the answer of if we pinched ourselves and it did hurt. No doubt about it, you're definitely awake. This is really happening, which means you are face to face with 2 teenage ghosts. You stand up and brush yourself off. Who are you? You ask, trying not to let your voice tremble. What do you want? What are you doing here? I'm Jane Luckmeyer, the girl ghost says, and this is my dearly beloved twin brother, John. John bows deeply, then he sticks out his tongue. Oh, John, Jane cries, this will be so much fun. Yes, dear sister, John answers. We haven't had anyone to torment in ages. In eternity, Jane agrees. But I've spent the time thinking of ever more horrible tricks and tortures. You don't like the sound of that. Could these 2 creeps have something to do with the creeping coffins? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Tell me something, you say, hoping you sound casual. Why have the coffins been moving around? But the twins don't answer you. Instead, they cackle horribly and grin at you. The Luckmeyer twins float down the steps toward you, and they both have an evil glint in their eyes. Uh-oh, these 2 spell trouble. Double trouble. Run, you tell yourself, but which way? If you run away from them, you'll be running straight toward the graveyard. But your only way back into the house is by getting past the Luckmeyer twins first. They're floating closer and closer, and John is hiding something behind his back. You freeze. You can't decide what to do. You know John is up to something, and you know you'd better not stick around to find out what it is. But which way should you go? Don't think, run! Now we have another poll. Here we go. The poll this time is, which way? Do you want to go toward the graveyard? Or do you want to go past the twins? The choice is yours, and the poll is open. I'm going to quickly write down this choice real quick. All right. I was lucky enough to have a day off today, so I've really been enjoying myself. I got quite a lot of drawing done. Now I'm having a fun Goosebumps stream. It's been a real nice day. I slept in pretty late, later than I intended to. But it was nice to catch up on sleep as well. Overall, just a really great day. I'm not too afraid of what these two child ghosts can do to us. I mean, even if they're ghosts, they're still children. But they did say torture, so could be bad news. Let's see what we got. Alright, we're going to head toward the graveyard to try to get away from them. Let's do it. You turn on your heels and run as fast as you can, straight toward the graveyard. Hey, Jane calls to you. Don't go in there. Oh, sure, you think. She just doesn't want you to escape. You keep running. But the minute you cross the property line from your grandmother's yard into the cemetery, a terrible chill runs down your spine. Your whole body feels as if it has turned to ice or stone. You stop running and begin to move very slowly. I am walking among the dead, you hear yourself say in a flat voice. Why did I say that, you wonder? You are walking among the dead, John says, right behind you. He and Jane float around the graveyard. I am a prisoner of the graves, you hear yourself say. You are a prisoner of the graves. John and Jane repeat your words together. You take a few more steps. Your legs are so stiff you can barely move. You look down at your feet and scream. Ah! You moan. My feet have turned to stone! This is actually the second turning to stone story we've read so far. It's true, your feet have turned to stone. So has the rest of you. Help, you want to cry out, but you can't speak. Stone lips don't move. I warned you, Jane says quietly. Ha ha, John says, laughing and pointing at you. You're stuck. He wags a finger in your stony face. You'd like to bite him, but you can't. You can't do anything. You're a statue. You've turned to solid stone. You'd like... Oh, I'm sorry. See what happens when you walk among the dead, John says. You should have listened to Jane. Don't ever walk with a dead person into a graveyard. It's the most dangerous thing you can do. Well, now they tell you. So there you are, standing like a stone statue in a graveyard. You probably think this is the end, don't you? Well, it could have been. But a few days later, the graveyard caretaker comes by. He notices you and realizes you don't belong there. Pretty soon, he figures out he could get a lot of money for a stone statue of a kid. So he backs his pickup truck into the cemetery and loads you on it. Then he drives away. He sells you to a garden shop that carries stone statues to put in people's gardens. A few months later, your grandmother walks into the shop and sees you standing there. She can't believe her eyes. A statue that looks exactly like her missing grandchild. She buys you and brings you back to your house. Unfortunately, your grandmother's house is still haunted, but for some reason she has never noticed the ghosts flying all around. But you notice them, especially the two ghosts you hate the most, the Luckmeyer twins. They spend the rest of eternity teasing you and pinching your stone nose, and you just have to stand there and take it until the end of time. So anyways, that's our first ending. I don't know why the graveyard just suddenly turned us to stone. It doesn't seem like there's any other signs of anyone else being turned to stone in the graveyard. But here we go. So we're going to try to decide where to start back. We only have two options. Our options are, do you want to go back and talk to the ghost in the house? Or do you want to go back and run towards the Luckmeyer twins? It is your choice. And the poll is up. Yeah, that was a little strange. It seems to imply that there's a sort of like a code of ghosts that, or like rules of ghosts that I guess ghosts know, but people don't. It's just strange to me because, so it says that you turn into stone because ghosts follow you into the graveyard. But what about like the groundskeeper? So he apparently goes in there all the time. Do ghosts never follow him in? I don't know. Strange. How do we explain it? I'm sure the answer is we don't explain it. That's just the way it is. Anyways, let's see at what point will we resume our story. Are we going back to the beginning or to where we just were? Alright, let's go back and try running towards the twins instead of towards the graveyard. Alrighty. The Luckmeyer twins float down the steps toward you, and they both have an evil glint in their eyes. Uh-oh. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm reading the page again. Give me 1 second. Okay, so to set the stage, Luckmeyer twins are two ghosts of children, and they say they have some terrible torture planned for you, and we're going to try to run straight at them and slip past them to get back into the house. You run up the steps, darting sideways to get past John, but he grabs you with one hand. Whoa! For a see-through guy, John is strong. In his other hand, he dangles a ghostly snake before your eyes. Yikes! The snake hisses in your face. Its fangs drip ghostly poison. John and Jane laugh at your terrified expression. John shoves the hissing snake into your face again. Its tongue darts in and out between its razor-sharp fangs. Can a ghost snake hurt you? The pain where John is clutching your arm makes you think it probably can. You swallow hard and lurch away from him. Luckily, he and Jane don't try to follow. With a yank, you pull open your grandmother's kitchen door. Yikes again! That other ghost, Elvira, is standing right there. So you came back, she snarls. You may regret that. She turns and floats into the hall. Then she floats up the stairs toward your room. You know, this is really strange. Are the kid ghosts just not going to follow us? I don't understand. Anyways, you follow Elvira to your room on the second floor. The moment you step into the bedroom, she slams the door. Then she whirls around to face you. Her eyes turn green and begin to glow. You back up, stumbling, and fall onto the bed. You little wretch, she says. I don't want any trouble from you. Sparks seem to fly from her flashing green eyes. You shrink back into the pillows. Then Elvira gazes around the room. Yes, yes, she says. This will do nicely. Oh, what do you mean? You stammer. Elvira floats towards the bed. She hovers over you. I'm taking this room now, she tells you. Get out. You would love to leave, but you're shaking too hard to get up. Besides, you have to find out what's going on. Elvira is the only one who can explain it to you. Please, you beg, just tell me why you're here, and why are the graves moving? Shut up, she screeches, and get off that bed. I want to lie down. I haven't slept in a bed in 51 years. Uh-oh, you realize. You aren't just dealing with a ghost here, you're dealing with a ghost in a very bad mood. You jump up from the bed. Elvira lies down, neatly spreading her white satin dress on the covers. Her long red hair fans out across the pillow. Yeah, the ghost of Elvira showing up in my room and taking it over is never a welcome experience, for sure. Ah, she sighs. A real bed. She shuts her eyes. You hope she doesn't sleep too long. You have so many questions to ask, and you hope she'll be in a better mood when she wakes up. She dozes for exactly 2 minutes. Then her eyes pop open, and you notice they aren't glowing green anymore. Ah, Elvira says, that's better. Now that she's awake, you're not sure how to begin. You're almost too freaked out to speak, but you have to know. Why are the graves moving, you ask? What's going on? It's the curse of the creeping coffins, the ghostly woman answers. And we're moving into this house. All of us. All of us? Gulp. What does that mean? What do you mean, all of you? You managed to stammer. You ask too many questions. Uh-oh, her eyes flash green again. Don't get in our way and maybe we'll let you live. She soars up over your head and glares down at you. You don't go talking to that ghost hunter McFarling either, Elvira adds. In the next instant, she floats backward and disappears into the wall. McFarling? A ghost hunter? You're startled by loud, clumping footsteps above you. You glance up at the ceiling. The light fixture is shaking. It sounds as if a whole crowd wearing clunky boots is stomping around in the attic. Who could it be? A ghost hunter. That's exactly what you need. But how are you going to find this McFarling guy? You dash out of your room and run downstairs as fast as you can. You rush back into the kitchen. Grandma, you gasp, almost out of breath. Do you know someone named McFarling? Oh, don't go talking to me about Mac McFarling, she says. That loon, he came around here last month. Told me he thought my house would be haunted soon. Said something about a curse, too. Can you imagine that? I don't want you going anywhere near that man. Let's face it, Granny's not going to be much help. So you race to the computer. Man, this is seeming like Courage the Cowardly Dog here with the old lady who can't see like the scary thing that's going on, and you're having to use the computer because you don't know what to do. On a hunch, you search for ghost exterminators. Bingo, there he is. Mac McFarling, ghost hunter. There may be hope after all, as long as you can get out of the house before Elvira finds out what you're doing. Luckily, everything in your grandmother's small town is within biking distance. 20 minutes later, you've biked over to Mac McFarling's office, which happens to be located in his garage. You knock on the side door of the garage. Come in, a voice calls. You yank open the door. Wow, you think when you see him. Mac McFarling has frizzy, kinky blonde hair sticking out all over his head. He's wearing 6 earrings, a nose ring, and a pair of heavy black framed glasses with blue lenses in them. He's about 20 years old, so that's why your grandma doesn't like him. He's cool. What's up? Mac McFarling asks. You look like you've seen a ghost, he laughs. Sorry, just a little ghost hunting humor. You explain about Elvira and that she told you that ghosts are going to take over your grandmother's house. I've been expecting this, McFarling says, shaking his head. I tried to warn your grandmother. Can you help us? You plead. His eyes are hidden behind the blue lenses. You can't tell what he's thinking. Will he help you? Suddenly, McFarling swings into gear. He picks up a strange electronic box and heads for the door. Come on, he says. We gotta hurry. Let's go. Finally, someone who can help you. You feel better already. Let's see. McFarling jumps into his car, an old VW Bug. You hop on your bike. As you ride to your grandmother's house, he drives alongside you. He rolls down the window and talks to you the whole time. Have the gravestones been moving around? He asks. Yes, you exclaim. So you're not crazy? Why are they doing that? I'm not sure, he says. I've only seen it once before, but I think they're moving into position to spell out some kind of message or curse. Graves can spell? That doesn't sound possible, but you're ready to believe anything now. How can we stop them, you ask Mac. It won't be easy, he tells you. You are afraid of that. Boy, there hasn't been a choice in a while. Kind of strange. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. First, McFarlane explains, you'll have to find the keeper of the sword. That's one of the ghosts. You need to get that special sword and use it to stop the MPG. What's the MPG, you ask? The most powerful ghost, McFarlane says. It's a term for the spirit who has control over a graveyard. Once you have the sword, Mac continues, you must plunge it into the grave of the MPG. But you gotta hurry, because when all the graves have moved into position and spell out the message, it'll be too late. The curse will be complete, and after that, you'll never be able to get the ghosts back into their graves. Your head is spinning from what Mac just told you, but you nod as if you understand. You've arrived at your grandmother's house. McFarlane stops his car and hops out. You get off your bike and park it. McFarlane faces your grandmother's house and switches on the funky electronic box he's carrying. Red dials light up. Then you hear a loud beeping sound. Uh-oh, McFarlane says. Major trouble. Give me a dollar. So now we have our first poll in a while. And that poll is... Are we going to give him a buck or not? It's a pretty simple poll, just a simple yes or no answer. But it's up to you, co-conspirators. Do we provide this man with money for his mysterious box, or do we not? Do we hold on to our dollar? It's up to you. I take a quick second to drink some more water. Not sure how to rate this one so far. It's not bad. I think that I'm waiting for a really funny ending, so once it gets a funny ending like the waking up with the screaming night, then I think we'll be set, but we just have to give it a little bit more time to warm up. Alright, I think the poll's about over. And it says, no, we're not giving him any money. Alrighty, let's see how that goes. Maybe your grandmother was right. Maybe this guy can't be trusted. He's a scam artist. What do you want $1 for? You ask him. But before he can answer, the funky electronic box beeps one more time, real loud. Then all of a sudden, a lid on top flips open, and a small plastic hand pops out. Cool, you think. You've seen one of these things before. It's a gag bank. Your uncle had one, but his used dimes. It was a small black plastic box with a slot on top, just like McFarlane's gadget. When you put a dime in the slot, a lid would fly open and a plastic hand would pop out. The hand would grab the dime and pull it into the box. It cracked you up. But why is McFarlane playing around with a trick bank? You're supposed to be hunting ghosts. Give me $1, Max screams frantically. But before you can hear him, the plastic hand reaches farther out of the box and grabs you by the throat. In the next instant, it pulls you into the box. You don't think your uncle's bank worked like this. Too bad you didn't have $1 when you needed it. So I guess that one's pretty funny. Just random. I don't know why he was carrying around a killer box with him, but that's our first real death. I guess in the other one, I don't know. Maybe we're alive in there, inside the trick box. Who knows? But yes, that's one way to end it. Okay, let's see what else we got. There's only 2 more choices that we can go back to, so I'll make the poll real quick. Our question is, do we want to go back and talk to the house ghost? Which, that one might be a loop back to what we're already doing, but I guess we would see. Or do we want to go back and give him $1 instead of being taken by the weird bank? The choice is yours. Whichever you're feeling. Let's... Sorry, I'm a little quiet. I'm just saving my voice a little bit. It seems like it's going to take us a while to get a good ending in this one. So I figure I'd better conserve. All right. Looks like it's a split decision, so I'll have to flip a coin for it. Give me 1 moment. We are going to go back and give him $1 this time. Alrighty. Let's see. I think that was page 45. Alright. Let's try giving him the money this time. You reluctantly hand McFarling a $1 bill. He folds the dollar in half twice. Then he jams it into a tiny slot of the electronic box. A minute later, the beeping stops. The box spits the $1 back out. Thanks, McFarling says. The spirit counter was jammed. He gives the $1 back to you. Weird, you think, but it seems to have worked. Then McFarling stares at the red dials on his machine. Bad news, kid, McFarling says, finally. By my count, there are 10 ghosts in the house already. That's way over my limit. You're on your own. He starts back towards his car. Wait, you call after him. You can't leave me here. Please, you have to help me. McFarling hesitates for a minute, then he shrugs. Okay, he says. This is what I'm willing to do. I'll help you make a map of the graveyard. Come on. A map of the graveyard? What for? You wonder. But you don't ask questions. You just follow Mac into the cemetery and do what he tells you. An hour later, you've got a drawing of the first 4 rows of gravestones. There's a diagram here that I may need to deliver to you folks. Give me 1 second and I'll see if I can do that. Alright, let's see. It's going to take me a moment, but this one's just a little bit hard to explain to you folks. So for the sake of following along, I think it'll be best if we can all see it. But it will take just a moment. Alright, now I'm going to pull it up on my computer. This diagram is an explanation of where the different names are throughout the cemetery. And it's probably going to be important for the story later. Alright, give me 1 moment. I just need to get the screenshot up. Apologies for the wait, but I think it will be worth it. I should have done this with a maze last time during the Screaming Night story as well. No, I did the maze. Alright, 1 second. Before I click this willy-nilly, I had better make sure that I'm not uploading something that I would regret. Where did that thing go? Sorry for the wait here. Give me 1 second longer. Open containing folder. Alright, I think it's in my downloads. Probably should have tested this out beforehand. Apologies. Alright. Downloads. Here we go. Alright. So, here's the graveyard. As you can see, we've got Grandma's house through the gate there. And here at the front we have Rachel Young, Thomas Owen, Patrick Unger, Ben Wong, Elizabeth Ives, John Luckmeyer and Jane Luckmeyer, Mary Dawson, Gregory Ives, Archibald Swope, Nancy Ottoman, Chester Ottoman, and Robert North. Now here's something interesting. None of these names are Elvira like we saw earlier. Huh. I wonder what to make of that. But anyways, I'll put this out of the way for now, but we may want to reference it later. I'll pull it back up if we need it. Okay, let's keep going. Back to the story. You stare down at the map of the gravestones in your hands. You wonder how it can possibly help. Big trouble, Max says, peering over your shoulder. The message is already almost completely spelled out. What message? You ask, puzzled. Look at these first 4 rows, he says, pointing at the paper. The rest of the graves don't matter. That's why I didn't put them on the map. Take a pen and circle the first letter of the last name on each tombstone. It spells out a message. Yep, let's put it back up. So let's see. No, you don't see it, and you won't see it until you do it. So do it. Alright, so it wants us to circle the first letter of the last name on each tombstone to spell out a message. Looks like it's going to be, follow along with me. You will dissoon. You will dissoon. Oh shoot, the missing one is probably an E, and it's probably for Elvira, or whatever. It's probably you will die soon. Ooh. Okay, let's try just turning the message. Sorry. My brain worked in overtime. Oh no, you gasp. You stare at the map and at the message spelled out on the gravestones. You will die soon. So that's the terrible message the graves are moving around to spell. And is that you? Or is the curse directed at your grandma? Either way, it's super bad news. Mac, you say, there's only 1 letter missing. Only 1 more coffin has to creep into place, and then you will disown. I wonder. Then the curse will be complete, Max says. He turns and walks back to the car. Wait, you call after him. He stops, but only long enough to pull out a business card. Here, he says, call me after you defeat the Keeper of the Sword. Then I'll tell you what to do next. Then he jumps back in his VW bug, leaving you standing in front of your grandmother's house. Ah, he calls as he starts to drive off. 2 things to remember. Be sure to find out the name of the Keeper of the Sword, and stay away from the Luckmeyer twins. The Luckmeyer twins, you think? The next question is, have we met the Luckmeyer twins or not? Now, we have met them, so I'm going to go ahead and make this decision for us. It doesn't seem to make sense to say no when we already when we already met them. Alright. But just in case, I'll take down the page number anyways. Okay. The Luckmeyer twins, what are they up to now, you wonder? As McFarlane drives off, you notice that the sky is growing dark. Night is falling, and there's a thin, wispy ring of clouds around the moon. An owl hoots nearby. Then it swoops towards you. Its claws seem to be aimed right for your face. You duck and feel the tip of its wing brush past your cheek. When you glance up, you notice a curtain moving in a window on the second floor of your grandmother's house. There they are. That teenage ghost and his twin sisters with the braids wrapped around her head. Jane and John Luckmeyer. John points down at you and laughs evilly. I hope he's not the keeper of the sword, you think. Then you notice something strange up in the attic window. A light flickers on and off. Someone is up there. Is it the keeper of the sword? There's only one way to find out. You take a deep breath and head toward the house. The haunted house. It's time for another poll. And this one is a guess. The guess is, who is the keeper of the sword? Is it John Luckmeyer? Or is it whoever is in the attic? The choice is yours. I assume what choice we make here will probably determine whether we're going out to the graveyard or whether we're going upstairs. This music combined with the parts about like the keeper of the sword are making me want to play Hexen. One of my favorite old boomer shooters. Let's see, we're at almost 1 hour now, and it feels like the story is kind of still just starting. I guess we'll see how long we go tonight. We'll go for at least 2 hours, maybe 3 if we get really wrapped up in it. We shall see. How's it going? We are going to check whoever's in the attic. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything so as not to influence your vote, but John Luckmeyer didn't really strike me as a keeper of the sword kind of guy. So give me 1 moment. I'm going to write down the page number. And now we'll jump over there. Using the back door, you quietly slip into the house. Then you sneak up the back staircase to the second floor. You peek around the corner carefully. You don't want to run into the Luckmeyers. When you're sure the coast is clear, you start up the stairs towards the attic. As soon as you step into the stairway, you see a huge soldier standing at the top of the third floor landing. His uniform is old-fashioned, Civil War, you guess. And judging from the medals pinned to his gray jacket, this guy knows what he's doing. And what he's doing right now is pulling a sword from its holder. The sword is about 5 feet long. 5 feet? Try to picture a 5-foot long sword. Isn't that huge? I don't know, I'm gonna have to look that up later, but a 5-foot sword seems like it would be way larger than like an ordinary like military cutlass. I don't know. The handle is mother of pearl, encrusted with sapphires. The blade gleams. Even in the darkness, you can see that it's dangerously sharp. The enormous soldier points the sword at your heart. Do not advance 1 more step unless you are willing to die, he booms. You can't take your eyes off the sword. The longer you stare at it, the more your legs shake. Then it dawns on you. This soldier must be the keeper of the sword. So what are you going to do? Run and hide? Definitely. Trembling in fear, you start to back up. That's when you feel a sharp point sticking you in the back, right between your shoulder blades. Ow! You cry out, turning around. Big trouble. Behind you is another ghost, and this one's dressed in a fencing costume. White canvas pants, a wire mesh mask, and leather gloves. On guard, the new ghost says. The voice echoes all around you. From the voice, you know this ghost is a woman. Then you realize something. She has a sword too. Two ghosts, two swords, both dangerous. But only one has the sword you need. Which one? Now it's time for a slightly more difficult choice. Yeah, we hate being surrounded on all sides by potential keepers of the sword, for sure. I see what you did there, Heath. Alright, so is it the fencer or is it the soldier? Which is the keeper of the sword? You may vote. Our plan was foiled. We'll have to be on guard. I suppose we will. But let's keep civil about it. Yeah, they haven't really given us the proper clues to line this one up. This is just a complete shot in the dark. But we can still take a stab at it. Sorry, I'm just drinking water feverishly during these breaks. This month is the first time I'd really started doing reading streams, and you do have to keep pretty well hydrated to get through them, it turns out. Alright, let's see what everyone chooses. We have a split decision. One says fencer, one says soldier. Let's flip a coin. The coin says soldier. So that's what we're going to go with. Alright, so this is page 104. It would be funny if neither one of them is the keeper and it's actually John Luck. I don't think that's the case, but it would be funny. Alright, we're going to try the soldier. You decide the enormous Civil War soldier must be the keeper of the sword. You face him and the fencing ghost behind you vanishes. You can't seem to lift your eyes from the sharp blade of the soldier's weapon. Are you the keeper of the sword? You ask him, your voice trembling. No, he bellows. Then he lunges forward and charges at you. Ah! You scream in terror. You turn and run for your life. Down the stairs, out the front door, into the night. You don't look back, but you don't have to. You can hear his ghostly soldier boots behind you. Those boots thud against the ground. You dash across the front yard toward the road. You manage to put some distance between you and the ghost. But then something grabs your foot. Smack! Your hands hit the gravel at the side of the road as you fall flat on your face. You glance down to see what made you fall. Just a gnarled tree root. Prepare to die, the soldier shouts as he stomps towards you. The Civil War soldier raises his huge sword. You quickly roll out of the way. The sword plunges into the ground. You scramble to your feet and run as the soldier wrestles the blade out of the dirt. Where can you go? What can you do? Your heart pounds as you race down the road toward town. Maybe you can get help. Maybe the police will drive by. Maybe someone besides you will see this Civil War soldier and do something to save you. Maybe not. You see two choices up ahead. There's a small bridge that crosses a narrow river. If you run to the bridge, maybe you can hide under it. You also see a small red barn across the street. It's behind the farmhouse across your grandmother's house. Another good hiding place. Which is it going to be? The bridge or the barn? Here comes the next poll. At least we're not dead quite yet. You get to decide, do we want to go to the bridge or do we want to go to the barn? It's up to you. It is pretty funny that that fencer ghost just completely vanished when we decided that they weren't the keeper of the sword. Makes you wonder why they tried in the first place. Strange. How peculiar. Let's see. Alright, how's that poll looking? Looks like it's probably going to be barn. I should go and write down that page number line. Wait. Alright, we are headed to the barn. One second. Let's continue. You race across the lawn and over the hill to the small barn. You swing open the door. Instantly, more than 40 chickens flap down out of the rafters at you. Feathers fly everywhere. Achoo! The feathers tickle your nose. They get in your mouth. You swipe at the downy tufts. The clucking is so loud you cover your ears. Then you cover your head. Ah! You scream. The chickens are swooping towards your hair. Huh? Why are they swooping towards your hair? You've heard that bats will fly at people and get tangled in their hair, but chickens? There's definitely something weird going on with these birds. Get away from me, you shout. You duck and twist, trying to avoid the diving chickens. They squawk and flap their wings. One bird lands on your shoulder. Its claws dig into your clothes. Hey, you yell at it. You try shaking it off, but it clings to you. You notice the other chickens hovering nearby. You reach up and grab the stupid bird, but something stops you. Could it be? Is that chicken smiling at you? You peer closely at the bird. Uh-oh, that chicken isn't smiling. It's baring its teeth. But chicken don't have teeth. And they sure don't have fangs. That's right. Fangs. Guess what? These aren't ordinary chickens. They're vampire chickens. And the bird on your shoulder is leaning closer and closer and closer. I hate that too, to be honest. Chomp. Being bitten by a vampire chicken puts you in a foul mood. Oh well, better cluck next time. The end. What in the world do vampire chickens have to do with this whole creeping coffin and moving cemetery and ghost cemetery? Better cluck next time. Yeah, we're all going to turn into vampire chickens now. Who could have seen this one coming? Alright, I guess we better decide where we're going to go next. We actually racked up quite a few choices there before dying, so we've got a few more we can add this time. Give me 1 second. We can either go back to the very beginning and try... Actually, why don't I not do that, because I'm pretty sure it's a loop anyways. We won't do that one. I've got 4 options even besides that. Well, 3 options. But they're 3 good options. We can either go back and say John Luckmeyer is the Sword Keeper. We can go back and we can say Fencing Ghost is the Sword Keeper, or we can go back and try the bridge instead of the burn. And now I will put up the poll for you. 3 exciting choices. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. Might have to take a short break in a second. Won't take long, but I think I will have to take just a minor break whenever we hit another stopping point. Alright, let's see. What are you folks thinking? So far we've got 1 vote for trying the bridge. Alrighty. We will see if that's how it ends up. Alright, and we've got 1 vote for trying John Luckmeyer as the Sword Keeper. Okay, we're going to do a coin flip. Good, 1 moment. Alright, so this one says we're going to go back and we're going to try the bridge. Give me 1 moment to get back to that page. Alright. To set the stage real quick, we're being chased by a Civil War ghost, and our choices were either to go into the barn, which turns out to be full of vampire chickens, or to try the bridge. This time we're going to do the bridge. The bridge looks good to you. You can slip down the bank to the river and hide under it. You might be able to sneak around and change directions. Maybe you'll lose the soldier after all. Excuse me. But before you even reach the riverbank, you feel a heavy hand on your shoulder. "Halt, traitor," the soldier cries. "No," you scream, twisting away. You stumble a bit and lurch forward out of his grasp. You keep running. Finally, you reach the bridge, but the soldier is right behind you. He swings his sword wildly at you, as if to cut off your head. "No," you cry again, jumping backward. Uh-oh, backward wasn't a good idea. You leapt off the bridge, and it's a long way down. Oof, that hurt. You have a 50-50 chance of surviving that fall. This one wants me to toss the book and see if it lands face up or face down. So I guess I'll do that real quick. I don't have a physical book, but I can grab a book. Give me 1. And you folks are just going to have to trust my choices. Okay, I've grabbed a book and I'm going to toss. You're good. Okay, it landed cover face up, so that's what we're doing. Give me 1. Just need to write this page number down. So cover face up. Let's try it. The book landed with the front cover face up. That means you don't survive the fall from the bridge. Sorry. So now you're a ghost roaming the neighborhood, haunting everyone in sight. And for a while, scaring people is fun. But soon, you get tired of people screaming whenever you appear. And some people can't even see you. For some reason, not everyone is able to see ghosts. You begin to understand why the Luckmeyer twins played pranks and practical jokes. It's a goof. So you start doing it too, playing tricks on people. You move their coffee cups when they're not looking. You raise their windows right after they've closed them. You wrinkle their clothes while they're ironing them. You steal key pieces from jigsaw puzzles when people aren't listening, aren't looking. Hey, you guys are the ones being douchebag ghosts, not me. No, I'm just kidding. Then one day, you go too far. You do something really evil. You go through a Give Yourself Goosebumps book with a black felt marker and cross off all the page numbers. The only problem is, it was this book, the only one you're in. Which is why, sad to say, this is really and truly the That was a kind of a meta ending. We killed it. We killed even the ghostly concept of ourselves. Okay. Give me one moment. So let's see what we got. We're gonna decide where to start. Our options are either we can say that John Luckmeyer is the Sword Keeper. We can say that Fencing Ghost is the Sword Keeper, or we can say we survived the bridge fall. The choice is yours. Poll is open. I do like how R.L. Stine seemed to be aware of people's tendencies to do that to the Goosebumps books. I remember, I think I even did that with a pencil once when I was a kid. Kind of a jerk move by me, unfortunately. But the funny thing is, some of these come with like a maze printed in it, so that's like practically begging a kid to write on the page with a pencil. No, I'm not going to toss the book until it works. You goof. I guess I could. We'll see. I guess I'm curious as to just how bad our luck is. Okay. We're going to survive the bridge fall, but we're going to have to flip until we actually survive it to appease my moderator. So hold on one second. Okay, it fell the right way. It fell backside up this time. Alright, so give me 1 second. Glad I could appease you. Right. The book lands with the front cover down. Lucky you, you survived the fall off the bridge. But don't kid yourself, you're pretty bruised and scratched up. Ah, you moan as you lie on the rocky banks of the river. Mistake, you shouldn't have moaned. Now the soldier knows where you are. In a flash, he jumps off the bridge and towers over you. Prepare to die, he shouts. Can't this guy think of anything else to say? Then he finishes you off with one thrust of that beautiful mother-of-pearl-handled, sapphire-encrusted sword. Hey, don't look so surprised. We said there was a 50-50 chance of surviving the fall. We didn't say anything about surviving this book. So I guess that means that the Civil War ghost is pretty much a dead end at this point. Oh, you got us, Goosebumps. Okay, so let's see what we're doing next. We can either go back to say that John Luckmeyer is the Sword Keeper, or we can say the Fencing Ghost is the Sword Keeper. Here's the poll. Whichever you would like. Speaking of swords, a little earlier in the week, no, it was over the weekend, I played Chivalry 2 on stream a little bit. I pretty much got manhandled the whole stream, but I have played a little bit off stream as well since then. I'm still not doing great, but I did have my first positive game or two. So I did find like a class that I think works a little better for me. So I might do another Guerrilla Chivalry 2 stream sometime during the week and see if I can make up for my last performance. We'll see. Excuse me, sorry. Alright, let's see who we want to do as the Sword Keeper. We're going to say let's give it 1 second. Alright, Fencing Ghost is the Sword Keeper. Let's go. Back to page 104. Alright. You decide to duel with the woman in the fencing costume. She's not as big as the soldier. On guard yourself, you cry. You notice that as soon as you shouted at the woman, the soldier ghost vanished. The fencer glides towards you, approaching slowly. You feel around desperately for something you can use as a weapon. The whole time, you keep your eyes glued to the sharp tip of her sword, or rather, her foil. That's what a fencing sword is called. The fencer keeps coming towards you slowly, slowly. Beads of sweat break out along your upper lip. The tip of the foil wavers slightly, as if the fencer were deciding on the perfect spot to stab you. Finally, your fingers grasp something leaning against the wall. An umbrella. It's not much, but it'll have to do. You grab it and strike a fencing pose. On guard, you shout again. The fencer freezes, her foil raised. Then, in a flash, she lunges at you. The tip of the blade slices right through your neck. Okay, you can open your eyes now. Good news, you're still alive. And you never felt a thing. You know why? The fencer is a ghost. She's not solid, she's airy. See-through, and so is her weapon. It changed the damn ghost rules on this You pick up your umbrella and slice back. You lunge forward, poking your umbrella right between her ribs. But your umbrella has the same effect on her that her foil has on you. None. There's no point in keeping up this duel. Neither of you can win. You put down the umbrella. Are you the keeper of the sword? You ask her. Yes, she says. She reaches up and pulls off her mask. You gasp and your stomach turns over. She doesn't have a face because she doesn't have a head. Yes, this is the sword you need, she tells you. You wonder where her voice is even coming from. And I will give it to you, if you can find my head. Is she kidding? What are the chances? Maybe you should just try to grab the sword. Time for another poll. Are we going to grab the sword, or are we going to look for her head? The choice is yours. This is like in a JRPG where you have to decide if you want to do a side quest. Alright, give me 1 second. I'm going to write down this page number as well. And I'm going to take a quick drink of water. In case anyone was curious, the book I flipped to make that decision a little while ago was actually Stephen King's Joyland. I've never read it, but it's the lightest book that I actually had on my bookshelf. Hey, Russian, good to see you. Alright, we're grabbing the sword. We don't have time for some silly side quest. Let's just do it. Let's grab that sword. You try to grab at her sword, but you just get a handful of nothing. The sword has no substance. It isn't solid, it's just air. The woman laughs. How can she do that without a head? My sword is nothing without me, she says mysteriously. And I am nothing without my head. If you want the sword, you must find my head. You heard the woman. Well, what are you waiting for? Go find her head, now. Okay, you tell her. I'll find your head. Wait here. But where do you look? You dash up the stairs to the attic. It's the only room you haven't been into since you arrived, and you definitely would have noticed a head if you'd seen one. You rummage around in the attic. You search through everything twice. Trunks of old clothes, piles of old furniture, golf clubs, no ghost head. You glance around the dusty room. Think. There may not be much time left. If I were a ghost head, where would I be? You ask yourself. You suddenly spot a large moose head sitting on the floor by a broken chair. You kneel down to examine the moth-eaten moose head. Up close, it looks even worse. The antlers are cracked and one eye is missing. It's filthy and it has a musty odor. It's not even a human head, but what choice do you have? It's the only head here. Besides, you're in a big hurry. You've got to get the sword before the coffins creep again. You grab the moose head and race downstairs. You only hope the keeper of the sword won't be furious when she sees the head you've brought her. I found the head, you call out when you reach the landing. You clutch the moose nervously. You peer into the darkness, trying to find the headless ghost. The woman's body materializes on the steps below you. Good, her voice says. You still can't figure out how she can talk. Just set it down right there, on the stairs. Really, you think? Really? Is this going to work? Maybe the ghost hasn't seen the moose head yet. What will she do when she discovers what you've done? Trembling, you set the moose head down on the bottom step. You hold your breath. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the moose head begins to shake. At first it just rocks back and forth a little, but soon it starts to vibrate wildly. The moose head begins to glow as if there were a light inside it. Then a ghostly woman's face appears inside the moose head. You can't believe it, but there it is, the face of a beautiful young woman trapped inside that dusty old moose head. Wow, you did it! You actually found her head. You stare at the glowing, ghostly face. Your mouth drops open as the face rises out of the moose head. The woman's face floats up and hangs in midair right in front of you. Thank you, the head says. You have released me from my trap. Her eyes are large and bright blue. Her ruby lips shimmer in the darkness. Her long black hair hangs down, falling below her neck. Her neck? You glance at it and try not to scream. Torn flesh dangles from the bottom of her neck. Blood drips from the ragged edges. Suddenly, you realize what you're seeing. It looks as if her head has been chopped off. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause here to mention. Earlier I said I thought one of the rules of Goosebumps was that you couldn't get stabbed or slashed as a way of dying. But you did indeed get stabbed in that Civil War soldier story, so I was wrong. And here we have a very graphic beheading image as well, so it's a little surprising that the knight in screaming armor never stabbed or slashed us. Alright, let's get back to it. Your stomach turns at the sight of her bloody neck. Then you notice the ghost's body is still hovering below you. It floats up the steps and somehow attaches to her head. "Thank you," she says once she's in one piece. She hands you her foil. "I am the keeper of the sword. Take this and use it as you will. Now I must return to my grave." You remember Mac McFarlane's instructions. "Wait," you call. "What's your name?" "Sarah," she whispers as her form fades away. Then she's gone. You run to the phone and dial McFarlane's number. When he answers, you tell him you've got the sword. "Good," McFarlane says. "Listen carefully. Find her grave in the graveyard. Write down the year of her death. It's a special number. You'll need it. Then plunge your sword into the grave of the MPG. That's the only way to keep the graves from spelling out the curse." "But how do I find the MPG, you ask?" "Oops," McFarlane says. "Call waiting. Gotta go." He hangs up. Call waiting, you think? What a liar. He just doesn't know how to help you find the MPG. Now what? If you go to the graveyard, or do we think the MPG will come to you? That's the poll that I'm about to put up. Give me 1 second. So, are we going to... go to the graveyard? Or... are we going to let the most powerful ghost come to us? Your decision. The choice is up. Vote as you will. I'm going to take just a short break just to grab some more water and rest my voice for a second, and I will be right back. Okay, I think that's a good enough rest. I'll go ahead and switch back over. Alright, welcome back. What did you folks vote on that poll? Alright, I didn't get any answers on that one, so I will just flip a coin for it instead. Give me 1 moment. Alright, the answer is going to be, let's let the MPG come to us. But first, I'm going to write that down so that we can come back here later if we need to. Alright, so let's see if the MPG will come to us. You decide to sit down and wait. If the MPG is so powerful, you think, then let him come to me. With the fencing foil in your hand, you plop down on a chair in the hall. Sparkle, your grandmother's mutt, comes and sits at your feet. You feel better in knowing someone's on your side, even if it's just an old dog. A loud knocking begins inside the walls. A moment later, a ghost floats through the wall towards you. A creepy ghost with no eyes. "Oh," he moans sadly. He hovers closer. You stand up and hold out the foil. Your hands tremble. Is this the MPG? Sparkle jumps to his feet too. Arf, 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 the dog barks. The ghost instantly disappears. Did Sparkle do that? Hey, Sparkle, you say, patting the dog's head. Good job. A minute later, you hear a terrible groaning sound. Another ghost appears in the hall. This one has worms crawling all over his face. A low growl begins in Sparkle's throat. Will it work again? Can Sparkle scare away the ghost? Get him, Sparkle, you shout. The hideous ghost floats towards you. The worms wriggle through his matted hair. This guy's gross. Woof! Sparkle barks right in the ghost's disgusting face. Nothing happens. Again, Sparkle, you command. But Sparkle tucks his tail between his legs, whimpers, and slinks away. Hey, Sparkle, come back, you call. But it's no use. That's one terrified mutt. You turn to face the wormy ghost. The ghost brings his face right next to yours. The worms wriggle from his nose. They crawl in your mouth, up your nose, in your ears. Is it possible to die from being totally grossed out? Well, even if it isn't, the worms are making it impossible for you to breathe, making this the end. Alrighty. That means we're back to... I don't think that finding the head was like a real option. I think it was just a loop. So right now, honestly, I think that our best option is to go back to the choice we just made and try doing it the other way around. I guess there's technically two choices to make, but I'll let a few more choices build up before we do another poll. Alright, let's go back to page 41. Alright, this time, to set the stage, we have just gotten the sword from the Keeper of the Sword. And now, we just tried waiting for the MPG to come, and what did come were several nasty ghosts. So this time we're going to try the other way, which is to go to the graveyard. You race to the graveyard. You've got to find the fencing woman's grave, fast. Then it hits you. You only know her first name, Sarah. Sarah who? Huh. Come to think of it, that's not even on the list of the graveyard tombstones now that I'm looking at it. There's no Sarah among them. You run up and down the rows of tombstones, searching for a grave marked Sarah. Naturally, you find two. One is Sarah Grayson, born in 1820, died in 1895. The other is Sarah McGinnis, born 1918, died 1940. It's up to you. Which is the right Sarah? Think very carefully, then pick one. You balance the sword under one arm and feel around in your pockets. You pull a broken pencil from your jeans. Then you glance down and find a crumpled gum wrapper on the ground. You grab it, and with shaking fingers you write down the year of Sarah's death and hope you chose correctly. This is not actually a choice, it's just telling me to go to page 114. You don't like the prickly feeling in the back of your neck. You turn around slowly and gasp. The coffin's moved again. You can tell because you've wandered to the front of the graveyard. You're standing by the front row. The row that spelled out you and the curse. The row that used to have only 3 tombstones. But now the front row is crowded with graves. 7 of them. 4 more coffins have creeped into place. You glance towards the back of the graveyard and notice new empty spots. It's true, the tombstones are spelling again. Your heart pounds as you run along the row, reading the 4 new names, trying to see what new initials will spell out. Bannister, Oswald, Thackeray, Hamilton. B-O-T-H. Oh no! Now the messages read, "You both will die soon." Your throat tightens in terror. Your heart pounds wildly. Both you and your grandmother are cursed now. Your granny can't even see the ghosts. She won't be able to save herself. It's all up to you. You grip the sword so hard your hand cramps. You've got to stop the coffins from moving again, and you've got to do it now, before the final coffin moves into place and the curse is complete. But who is the most powerful ghost? One more letter, you mutter. Only one more letter is needed to spell out the message. The last letter in the word die, the letter E. Then it hits you. The most powerful ghost must be someone whose last name starts with E. That's it. You may live after all. You run through the graveyard, looking at the tombstones, searching for E's. You find 3. Melvin Estep, Melvin Estep II, and Brandon Estep. But which one is the MPG? You could ask, or you could go in the house and ask Elvira for help. That seems strange. I don't know why she would help you, but it's one of the options, so now we go to a poll. The poll is... Are we going to take a guess? Are we going to go get help from Elvira? The choice is yours. This may end up being another wrap-up at 2 hours total stream, just because my throat still seems to be like not exactly holding up under all this reading. I'm not sure why. Alright. Let's see. What way are we leaning? We'll just flip a coin if we don't get any votes. That's fine. Alright, let's see what we got. We're going to get help from Elvira. Alrighty. That's what we'll do. Let me write down the page number real quick, just in case we have to come back here. Alright. You decide to play it safe by asking Elvira for help. You turn and race into the house. Your grandmother is watching TV in the den. You dash past her. She doesn't even look up from the program. The eerie light from the television is the only light in the whole house. Yeah, I have long since decided to visualize this whole place as being the house from Courage the Cowardly Dog. And all the descriptions I get keep supporting it, except for the graveyard part. You hurry up the back stairs to your room. You've got to find the MPG, and there's only one person or ghost who might be able to help you. You flip on a light in your small guest bedroom. A piercing shriek shatters the night. "Turn off that stupid light," Elvira screams. "I'm trying to get some sleep." Sorry, you quickly flick off the light, but you don't have any trouble seeing Elvira. She glows in the dark. "I have to ask you something," you tell her, but she pulls the pillow over her face. This isn't going to be easy. She's one sleepy ghost. Then you have an idea. You flick on the light again. Elvira sits straight up and lets out a piercing wail. "Elvira," you say, "I'll turn off the light if you'll answer one teeny question. Then you can sleep as long as you want, I promise." Her eyes begin to glow green again, but she looks very sleepy. Maybe she's too tired to hurt you. "I ain't afraid of no sleep. I ain't afraid of no bed. Bum, 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 down, down." And so on. "Who's the most powerful ghost in the graveyard?" you blurt out. Elvira blinks a bit. She says. I'd say Melvin Epstep's boy. He does tend to rule us with an iron hand. The Epstep boy, you mutter, but there are two of them, Melvin II and Brandon. Which one? But Elvira doesn't answer. She's fast asleep, and you promised you won't wake her up again. You turn and run out of the room, leaving Elvira snoring peacefully in her bed. You head back to the graveyard. You're going to have to take a chance on one of the Estep boys, and fast, before the graves move again. Only one letter left before the curse is complete. That's what keeps going through your head. When you reach the graveyard, you are almost out of breath from running up and down the stairs so many times. But the sight that greets you nearly takes your breath away completely. You think you might faint. The graveyard is filled with ghosts, horrible ghosts. One of them, an old man with long, stringy hair, carries an axe. A woman sobs. A head without a body passes, then a body without a head. Each ghost is worse than the last. Then you remember the fencing foil in your hands. You raise the sword to fend them off. It works. They float all around the graveyard and don't come near you. You run straight for the Estep graves. But which one? Melvin II or Brandon? You've got to choose. So here's our choice. Which Estep? Do we want to try Melvin Estep II? Or do we want to try Brandon Estep? Choose wisely. The poll is starting. I say choose wisely, it's mostly a guess. Guess wisely. Ooh, yeah, I don't know what it is, but ever since that first one, I've been having a pretty tricky time getting through 3 hours of reading. So it's definitely going to be more like a 2 or a 2.5 on this one. I'd like to get at least one good ending, though, before we stop. Though we may be close. But I don't know, it doesn't feel like we've reached nearly 20 endings yet. Not that I would expect to reach all 20, but we just don't even have that many branches to go back to. Okay, we're going to try Melvin Estep II. And we're also going to write down this page number real quick. Alrighty, let's try Melvin Estep II. You plunge your sword into Melvin Estep II's grave. The moment the foil pierces the ground, Melvin Estep II rises up out of the earth. Ooh. Really bad choice. He's not the MPG, he's the MHG, the most horrible ghost. As the stinking mist that surrounds him begins to clear, you can see he has no face. There's just a skull filled with rats. The squealing rodents pop out of his eye sockets, and they run up and down his cheekbones and in through his grinning mouth. He rises up, towering over you. He's huge. You sink to your knees in terror. No, you whimper. He's covered in shredded rags, teeming with bugs. Strips of rotting flesh fall from his skeletal body. He lifts his horrible skull head to the sky and lets out an unearthly moan. Then he fixes his rat-filled eye sockets on you. And then, his bloody hands reach out for your throat. Face it, whatever happens next is too gross even for you. You better close the book for now and open it again when you think you can survive all the way to The end. Well, I guess we chose the wrong ghost. Although, if he's that gross and he's that, like, huge and nasty, you would think he would be the most powerful ghost. Yeah, they ran out of ways to describe this ghost. Okay, let's see. I'll start up a new poll for where we want to restart. We can choose. Let's see. To guess or not, we can go back and try guessing on the plunging our sword in, or we can try the other S step. Let's see. Was there another one? The only other one is whether to go to the graveyard or not. I think we may have already done that one, though. Let me just take a quick sneak peek and see if there was another valid option there. No, that's one we already did, so I'm going to leave that one off. Alright. Let's start the poll. Oof. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but my throat is just giving out today. But it's alright. We'll go a little bit longer, and hopefully we'll reach a good ending in here somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, I figured you guys would probably want to try that next S step, so we'll give it a shot. But there's still time if you want to change your vote. Okay, let's see. Alright, we're going to try the other S step. I'll open the page to page 43. And then I'll jump to Brandon S step this time around. You cross your fingers and decide to take a chance on Brandon S step. You run over to his tombstone and stand in front of it. You hold the sword in both hands like a dagger with the point down. Your hands tremble so much you're afraid you'll drop the sword. This does make me think. So that fencing ghost just happened to have a fencing foil, and that foil is necessary for this weird, like, ritual to stop the tombstones. These stories tend to be really convoluted. You tighten your grip and you take a deep breath. Then you raise the sword above Brandon's grave and prepare to plunge it into the ground. But something stops you. You hear a booming crack in the next instant. The ghost of Brandon Estep rises up out of his grave. Is he the MPG? Have you chosen the right S-step? You peer at Brandon as he floats towards you. He's a young guy wearing a black leather motorcycle jacket with heavy metal spikes and chains, and a metal hand. A metal hand? A chill of terror runs through you. This must be the most powerful ghost, the ghost with the iron hand. You raise the foil again, but the ghost lunges at you and grabs your arm with his iron hand. Your arm freezes. You can't move. For a moment, you panic. Then you remember what McFarlane told you. The date of Sarah's death. It's magic somehow. Hey, did you write down the date like McFarlane told you? Good. Then you can find the date and add up all 4 digits in the year. What's the new number? Well, that's your page number. Turn to that page. Don't remember the date? Then turn to page 96 and choose one of the Sarahs. Ooh, excuse me. I got the hiccups. Boy, they made this one tricky. Yeah, I definitely wrote down those numbers. I was definitely paying attention to what we were doing. For sure, definitely. Okay, give me 1 second. So our options are... There's two Sarahs. There's Sarah Grayson, born in 1820, died in 1895. Then there's a Sarah McGinnis, born in 1918, died in 1940. Now, when I heard this, I knew that the answer would have to be the second one. And that's because if they're describing the Sarah's face, and they're saying that her face looks beautiful, then there's no way that it's the 75-year-old Sarah, right? The beautiful Sarah has to be the younger Sarah, don't you think? I don't know. I guess I could put up a poll for this, but I'm interested to see if I guessed correctly there. But if you think otherwise, feel free to explain your logic to me, and I'll consider it. But if that's the right one, then the correct date of death is 1940. And adding those numbers up would get us 14. Let's go back to the beginning and we'll see if we got the right answer. Okay, so the new page number is going to be adding up all 4 digits of the year. So that would mean page 14, I guess. If it doesn't look like a correct page number, then I messed up. Alright, here we go. Congratulations, you picked the right Sarah. Sarah McGinnis, born in 1918, died in 1940 at the age of 22. You knew she was the right one because the fencing ghost was a young beauty, so she must have died young. The other Sarah in the graveyard lived to be 75 years old. Very clever of you to figure it out. Suddenly you hear her voice. It fills your ears. I am the keeper of the sword, she calls to you from her grave. Let my foil do the work. Let go. Let go? Weird, you think, but you do it. As soon as the foil leaves your hand, it floats in midair. Then it plunges itself deeply into the earth, into Brandon Estep's grave. Ah! The ghost cries. His shimmering body begins to fade, and then disappears back into the earth. Your eyes open wide, and your mouth drops open as you gaze at an amazing sight. The coffins are creeping again, back to their original positions. You did it. The curse has been defeated. But there's only one problem. Brandon's ghostly body is gone, but his iron fist is still clutching your arm. McFarling never told you what to do about the iron hand. Help, you scream. Help! But who can help you in a graveyard? You try to yank the metal hand off your arm, but you can't do it. Its grip is too strong. Help! You cry again, but your scream dies in your throat. You're too terrified to make a sound, because the hand is moving. The iron fist creeps along your arm. It clutches your flesh so hard you can already feel the bruises. Okay, I'll add a hand real quick for clutching. Give me 1 second. 1 minute. Let's see. Image. Clutch. Transform. And we'll do a quick. There we go. Okay. I guess it did say it's on my arm, so I'll move it there real quick. Alright. There we go. Now I'm being clutched by an iron hand, just like in the story. The iron fist creeps along your arm. It clutches your flesh so hard you can already feel the bruises. The glinting metal hand travels up to your throat. Horrified, you watch helplessly as the iron fingers open with a clanking sound and then snap around your neck. It's strangling you. You have to do something fast. Okay, let's turn to the next page. The metal hand clutching your throat is squeezing the life out of you. You don't have much time left. Then you see it. The sword is lifted itself out of the ground, and it's once again floating in midair. The sword helped before, maybe it can help again. Stretching your arm as far as you can, you reach for the sword. You nearly topple over, but you manage to grab the handle. Now that you have the sword, you're not sure what to do with it. But you have to do something. The fingers are tightening. Tightening! You've got to get some space between your throat and the metal fingers. You bring the sword up to your neck. Trying to avoid slicing your own throat, you jostle and jiggle the sword hand through the fingers of the metal hand. Finally, the blade pokes up through the iron fist. The tip is just under your nose. The sword is jammed between your skin and the cold metal of Brandon Estep's hand. The iron hand releases your throat. The sword and the hand clatter to the ground. It's over. Well, maybe not. The moment the sword hits the dirt, you hear a sound, an almost deafening sound. Bong, bong, bong. What's that? Some kind of clock tower? Bong, 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 bong. The chimes strike 12 times. At exactly midnight, the iron hand and the sword vanish, and your grandmother appears in the doorway of her house. Why, listen to that, she exclaims. It's the clock tower in the church. That clock hasn't chimed in years. Really? You say, your eyes growing wide. Your grandmother nods. Not since Brandon Estep died. He crashed his motorcycle in this graveyard. Wild boy. But he loved that clock tower. He had helped his father build it. So everyone said Brandon haunted this place. And that's why the clock wouldn't chime. Of course, that's all a lot of nonsense. Nonsense? No way, you think. They tried to fix the clock 1,000,000 times, your grandmother goes on, but it never worked. I wonder why it started chiming now. You're pretty sure you know the answer to that. I guess Brandon's ghost is finally at rest, you say. You gaze around you and see that the tombstones are all back where they belong. In fact, the whole graveyard looks kind of sleepy and peaceful. Oh, don't be a goose, your grandmother scolds. There are no ghosts. Next, you'll tell me that the ghost of Elmira Martin is taking a nap in your room. Elvira? You'd forgotten about her. But you figure when the other ghosts returned to their graves, Elvira did too. Your grandmother yawns. Come on, she says sleepily. This is way past both our bedtimes. You and grandmother go inside. You say goodnight and climb the stairs to your bedroom. What a day, you think, flopping down on the soft bed. Watch it, a familiar voice echoes through the room. A lump under the comforter slowly materializes. Elvira! Don't hog the covers, she snaps. She yanks the blanket out from under you so hard you roll right out of the bed. You've heard of bad roommates, but this is ridiculous. Well, you'll just have to learn to get along, because Elvira is here for eternity. Your days of having your own room have come to an end. Okay. This is the second ending where we've ended up sleeping with a ghost, so if you're ever interested in shacking up with a ghost, the Give Yourself Goosebumps books are a surprisingly good choice. Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't exactly feel like a good end, but we vanquished the ghost and everything. There was the whole wrap up. We learned why the whole place was haunted. I think this is like probably the closest to a good end we're gonna get in this story. Yeah, we got a ghost waifus. Who can complain? It's good enough. Good enough. And for that, give me 1 second. Let's remove this hand here, and let's add this hand here. I say it's a good ending. We got to sleep with a ghost, so everything's fine. It gets my thumbs up of approval. Okay, so this ghost was, this whole story was a little bit silly, but it was, I'm struggling to rank it among the others. I think the Screaming Knight was still my favorite out of all of them. I think it's probably a toss-up as for second between this and Secret Agent Grandma. I felt like Secret Agent Grandma's endings were a little stronger. They were a little more intriguing. But overall, I kind of liked the puzzle type of setup of this one. It's kind of like you're solving a mystery at parts, even if it's also extremely rambling. But all Goosebumps books ramble a little bit. Well, I'm glad you folks stuck around, and I had a fun time. I hope you did too. I'm going to call that done on this one, since we're at about 2 hours, and my voice is just very raspy right now. But we'll see if we can find somebody to rate. Give me just 1 moment. Who would be good? Let's see. Oh, hey, here's a funny one. So since we just finished doing a reading stream, why don't we go to a reading adjacent game? That being Alan Wake. My friend Osborne is currently playing Alan Wake. And if you haven't seen it in a while, it might be fun to get a refresher, especially since it's Halloween times. Give me 1 moment and I'll set that up. It's always fun to raid Osborne in. That spooky laughter in the background is kind of cool. I'm just listening to Pretzel Rocks in case you haven't noticed it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start the raid. Thanks again for being here, and thanks for all the voting. I think this is the last Goosebumps Choose Your Own we'll do. I may do more Choose Your Own stuff in the future, but I'll think about it. I've got to decide exactly how I want to do it. But it has been a lot of fun doing these reading streams. Alright, I'm starting the raid. Thanks all for being here, and I hope I will see you in the future. We've got a fun Saturday and Sunday stream coming up, both with exciting guests, so check Twitter for more on that. You have a good night, Kit, and everyone else as well.